Hello, welcome to Hawaii Wellness Network on this beautiful Friday in Honolulu, Hawaii. And I have a special guest because I call on her quite often and I'm on the computer a lot and of course get those viruses and other things, and she's been a lifesaver, and I've called her many times saying, help, my computer won't work and I'm supposed to do a magazine and I can't check my email. So Kate, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Lori. Glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your background. I usually just meet you somewhere and go, here, fix it. So, and you give it back to me at work. So
that's magic.
I guess that's the end of the show.
Okay, thank you.
But how did you get started working with computers?
I actually started in 1977 as a computer programmer on the mainframe computers, the big computers that people never see.
I didn't know they had computers back then. That's amazing.
Going back to the mid-40s. And these are the big computers like banks use, insurance companies. You never see them. And then in 1980, I got my first desktop computer. They weren't called PCs then. Macs didn't exist yet. And I was writing stock market software that was so complicated, people had to be trained how to use it. There was no kind of software protection in those days. We just made it really hard to use. So therefore, they couldn't just give it to their friends.
What do they call it? Codes, and what is all the lingo that they use?
They're
writing software and for the computers.
Well, it was in basic language.
Okay, back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it wasn't even compiled for those of you nerds out there. So I discovered then that I liked teaching because I would be working with these people and also other programmers in the big corporations. A younger junior programmer would come in and I'd help them. I realized, oh, I like teaching also. I like programming, debugging. I love helping people. I love simplifying people's lives. So now I'm Kate the Computer Tutor.
Yes, that's such a perfect name.
I did have a tech support job. I got a couple of cute stories I'd love to share. I was working for a company that sold medical software, and these were the days when there was only a few kinds of computers, and you got the computer that ran the software you needed. And so there was a lady in the South who called up one day, and she said, if it's okay, I'm going to use an accent. She said, I can't get my such and such report to print. And I've got a script, and I turn to that, and I say, can you get anything to print? And she says, why, no, I can't. Now, they had all the exact same kind of computers, so I knew what kind of printer she had. I said, can you see the printer from where you are right now? She said, yes. I said, is the switch in the up position, little toggle switch? And she said, yes. I said, is the red light on? She said, why, no, it's not. I said, can you tell me if the computer is plugged in? And she said, I'm going to have to put the phone down for that. And I said, okay. And she came back and she said, oh my, you must be God. You're 2,000 miles away and you can tell me my printer's unplugged. I said, thank you, ma'am. I'm just reading a script. But it's that way of working down, eliminating the variables to find out what's the problem, what's going on.
You have that technical mind, because I just...
Yeah.
Mine's crashed, I don't know how many times. It's so frustrating.
My dad was moving overseas. This is about 20 years ago now. And I had an older laptop that I wasn't using. And I said, it won't do the internet, it won't do graphics, but it will do email. And you can do word processing, write the Great American Novel. I gave him an old email account I wasn't using anymore. And he said, but I'm going to be 9 hours ahead of you. If you send me an email at 4 in the afternoon, is it going to wake me up?
Well, if he has that ding alert, I'm like...
No, I said, no, Dad, it's like when you live in an apartment building and the mail gets delivered to the mailbox down below, it just waits for you. The mailman doesn't come knock on your door. You've got an order.
Right. I think we've come a long way since then.
Yes. But I work really well with all levels, seniors, beginners. There are still people out there, age 35, who don't know how to move a mouse.
Wow.
Every now and then I run across someone who just hasn't needed a computer.
Right.
And so I teach them how to turn it on, how to turn it off.
You have a lot of patience.
I have a lot of patience and a lot of tenacity. figuring out what's wrong with the computer, debugging things.
Well, at least everybody has
But-
laptops now, because I remember bringing my hard drive. And the
Not
portable-
everybody has laptops.
Yeah.
I fixed a couple towers this weekend.
And they just bring them to you in the big old things. Here, fix this, and I'll
Yeah.
be back next week.
Prefer laptops.
Yeah, a little bit easier. So, protecting your computer, I just get on the email, and it's so confusing knowing what protection, antivirus software, and then you hear about cookies, and you're supposed to back up, and I have no clue.
Where do you start?
Yeah, so is there some basics that you can share on protecting your computer from getting the viruses? And
I would love to tell a
Yeah.
couple more stories.
okay, oh, you have more stories.
I love telling
Sorry, I
stories.
jumped in the gun.
No, that's good. I'm answering your question. One thing I want to talk about is a term I use of inside and outside email systems. If you have an email address with Yahoo or Gmail or Hotmail or any of those where you can walk up to any computer and log on and access your email, you are one level less secure. It's
Oh, I didn't know.
convenient, but your emails are stored on their computer along with your address books, your email contacts.
Interesting.
And so you can get your account hacked into.
So it's better, like, if you set up a website, to set up your emails?
No,
through the website?
no, I just wanted to talk about a difference.
Okay.
And so you have to be a little bit more aware of passwords, coming up with a good, decent password.
Right.
A buddy of mine named Jim sends me emails all the time, and it will say, "Dear Kate, this is a warm, fuzzy thought of you," and it's a link. Or laughed out loud, hope you enjoy.
Right.
And he sent me a link one morning, and it didn't say anything. I just clicked on it, and it was a Viagra ad.
Uh-oh.
And I called him up, because I know he wakes up early. We were meeting for breakfast in a little bit.
Did you mean to send this to me?
And I said, "Dude, you've been hacked." And he said, "Oh, I know. I've got to get a new computer." And I said, I know he has a Macintosh. I said, "I don't think it's your computer got hacked into. I think it's your email account." He has a Hotmail email address. And I said, "Can I ask what's your password?" I said, "You need to change your password immediately."
Right.
I said, "Can I ask what the old one was?" And he says, "Well, it was my initials and my birth date."
Oh, no.
And I said, "Do you have a Facebook account?" And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, do you have your birthday listed?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, that's public information. Your name reduces down to your initials and your birth date. Don't ever use something that anybody else can figure out." And he said, "Well, blah, 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 blah. Are we still meeting for breakfast?" I said, "Yeah." So we meet up for breakfast, and I say to him, "Did you change your password yet?" He says, "Yes." I said, "Good. To what?" He says, "I'm not telling you." I said, "Good answer. Don't tell anybody." I said, "However, is it any word in any language in the world?" Because I know he speaks French. And he said, it's a Hawaiian word. I said, "Nope, not good enough." He says, "Well, actually, it's 2 Hawaiian words." I said, "That's better." But bad people who write viruses, have actually loaded the whole dictionary for every language.
Wow.
And this friend Jim said, "Why would someone want to hack into my computer, my account?" I said, "Don't take it personally. Think of 14-year-old pimply-faced boys in trailer parks in Southern California. They're just writing programs to see what they can get into. Why do graffiti artists do graffiti?
Just to see, because some people have banking information online in their emails and other
That too,
things they
yeah,
get into.
yeah.
Is it another mistake to do the passwords for everything? Like, I know people do their email, their Facebook, their LinkedIn, their banking,
Excellent question.
all exact same password.
Excellent question.
Once they get
So-
into one thing.
So I told Jim, here's my rule about passwords. One of my rules. My first rule. You need to have something that's what they call secure, standard. I mean, not standard, but robust. My password for years, in 1995, my desire was to go to Stonehenge in 1996. And I believe in visualizations and manifesting. And so my password was Stonehenge 96. That way, every time I entered it in, I would imagine myself being at
That's
Stonehenge
good.
at
Great.
summer solstice 1996. And it worked. I was there. And that was my password for years. Not very secure. I should have taken the 96 and put it somewhere in the middle, like stone 96 henge.
Oh, I see.
Still, that's not very secure. Take the S and make it a capital S. So it's capital S T, stone 96 henge. Or, even better yet, instead of a capital S, make it a $sign. So it still looks like Stonehenge. Even better, take the O and make it a 0.
So the more creative you get.
The more creative
away
you can
from
get.
just the normal dictionary words.
Yes.
And your
So you
name.
want to have one password for your email that is just for your email. But then if you have an Amazon account, how do they identify you? With your email address. And they want a password or a PayPal account. All kinds of things. Use your email address. Don't use your real email password for that.
Right, do another.
Come up with a second one.
Right.
So for years and years, I had 2 passwords, one for my email and one for everything else. And that same one was good for everything else. And it was a good password. It was robust. It was a made-up word with numbers in it. No one was going to figure it out. And then Yahoo got hacked into. And I realized, oh, I need to come up with something where I have a different password for every account. I hate that.
Right, and it's hard to remember.
And it's hard to remember. But then I remembered years ago, a lady friend of mine had a boyfriend who was very suspicious. And she'd say, I'm going to Susie's house. And he would not believe her. This is before cell phones. And she had her address book by the phone. And so he would go look up Susie's last name and call and say, you know,
Wow.
Mary there. And so my friend Mary decided she didn't like that. And so she redid her address book, not by the person's last name, by the first letter of their last name, but by the last letter
Oh, that's
of their last
interesting.
name. So if it was Susie Smith, it was under H.
Oh, wow.
And he never figured it out.
So the more creative you get. And
Yeah.
don't save your passwords on your computer, because if they steal it,
Right.
your laptop, they can get in with and make the physical cards. And
Right.
do all your
But if you
banking.
live alone and you don't have teenage boys using your computer, it's okay to write them down
Right, somewhere.
and put them in your top desk drawer, you know, if you live alone.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I
Good
would
advice.
say, come up with some sort of a formula, like using the last letter of that name, and then have a different password for each account, in case somebody like Yahoo gets hacked into. And there's different ways you can come up with different formulas. I was helping one little old lady one time, and the computer was between us, and I said, go ahead and enter your password. And she just did that, looked at her computer keyboard, and I thought, oh no, is she having a stroke? What's going
Or
on?
falling asleep. or-
Falling asleep? And then she started typing. And I said, what was that about? And she said, oh, I came up with a pattern. I just have to remember where to start.
Interesting.
So she would hit, you know, E, S, you know, and then it was like a big circle.
So she just made something up.
Just made something
Well,
up.
that's smart too.
But it was a little pattern on the keyboard.
Just make sure to remember to write it down.
I have a brother who got a new job with a company. They gave me a user ID and one of those horrible passwords. It's, you know, uppercase B, 7, lowercase J, you know. He just memorized it. And that is his password.
Is it a good habit, like maybe once a year, just to change all your passwords just in case, or to switch things out, or?
There's 2 different schools of thought on that. I would say if you come up with a good, robust password, no.
You're
don't
good
change
for a
it.
while.
Good for a while, yeah. Now, as the hackers and bad guys get more and more sophisticated, yeah, we might have to come up with more,
Change things out.
change things out.
Now-
Oh, here's another idea. If you have a favorite motto or saying, the grass is always green on the other side, or, you know, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, take the first letter of each word
Oh, that's smart.
and use that. It's not a word, but it's a phrase you'll remember.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
easy. Good ideas. So is there, you know, you get your laptop and it has certain antivirus software, and is there a common mistake where you get the computers and they're down and people fail to import that antivirus to protect themselves, or
Well,
Or
typically
update or
these
clean
days, Windows computers come loaded with a 90-day free trial of either Norton antivirus or McAfee. And people will either not activate them or not subscribe, or I actually prefer something else. I prefer Microsoft Security Essentials.
Okay.
It's free.
Is that in the computer?
No, you
Okay.
have to go and download it. If you go to Google and just put in Microsoft Security Essentials, you'll be taken right to a page.
And it's free.
It's free.
Okay, that's nice.
It's user-friendly. It updates by itself. It's good. My belief is that Microsoft realized they couldn't compete against the prices for Symantec, Norton, or McAfee, and they said, we're just going to give it away.
Right.
They've got the money.
So after 90 days, how much is it to buy the McAfee or Norton?
I don't know. I actually prefer Microsoft Security Essentials over Norton or McAfee, not because it's free, but because it is better.
Good advice.
I have fixed people's computers who had McAfee running.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, that's-
viruses got through.
So what can happen if you didn't hook up the virus software or the 90 days run out? And
Well, if you never went on the internet, never got email,
Yeah.
you'd be fine. If you just
Right.
played solitaire.
Because you get all those emails, and
Yeah.
I usually try to email them back and say, did you send this, unless there's a personal note, and do my
Right.
best, but things get through.
Couple basic rules: don't ever open attachments from strangers.
Unless they have a personal note, because I'll get emails from friends.
True, you're in a
and it
business.
just has a link, and it'll say hello link, but it doesn't say
But
friend Kate.
that's my friend.
Yeah, I get them, but they're viruses.
Right, right.
Unless
The
it has
first
a personal
rule,
message, I don't.
Pause. The first rule is don't open attachments from strangers.
Right.
Period.
Mhm.
Second rule is don't open attachments from friends unless you're expecting them.
Right.
If someone calls you and says, "Oh, I got the cutest pictures of my baby, I'm going to zip them up and send them to you,"
Mhm.
then you're expecting it.
Right.
If you have any questions at all, just call the person or send a separate email saying, "Did you send
Did
this?"
you send this? And
Right.
that's normally what I do before I
Right.
open it.
But if you have all the protection in the world and you open up something that's bad, you've
Wow.
just opened up the door and the bad guys can come in. You're like, welcome, come on in.
So if something
So-
like that happens, a good thing, if you don't know computers like myself, to call you and, have you clean it up and get it out before
Right.
it damages or gets into your banking accounts and everything else.
Yeah, another couple things you can do is there's a wonderful couple of utility programs that are free. One is called Malware Bytes. Malware, B-Y-T-E-S,
And how do you spell malware?
M-A-L-W-A-R-E, mal meaning bad. Bad stuff bites, it does.
Yes.
And it's free, but if you like it, send them a donation. The trick with antivirus, anti-spyware, all that kind of stuff, is that you need to keep getting the updates. I had one student, who didn't understand. She said, I run the antivirus every week, but she hadn't gotten the update from last year. She'd never gotten the updates, and I couldn't explain to her. I wasn't getting through, and finally I realized, she's a nurse. Let me put it in nursing terms. I said, you wouldn't give someone last year's flu shot. You need to get the current flu shot and then administer it. Whereas I'll have other people who will get all the updates, but never run the program.
So the updates just kind of pop up, at the bottom, or do they come in
It depends
email?
on the program.
Okay.
No, they don't come in email.
Okay,
It-
they
it-
just will pop up at the bottom. and say,
Microsoft
"Go to-"
Security Essentials will get its updates automatically if you let it. You can go in and tell it, don't get the updates. But
Right.
it doesn't come, you'd have to go tell it that. Whereas Malwarebytes, when it doesn't have a scheduler, you'd have to go run it yourself. And one of the options is go get the updates first. And if the updates, if it's kind of old, it'll tell you, database is, 45 days out of being current. Would you like to get the updates? Yes.
Yeah.
It's user-friendly
Well, it's a
that
good
way.
idea to get the updates.
Yeah.
Because eventually you're going to get in trouble if you don't.
Yeah.
If you're not protecting yourself
Right.
with the old stuff.
Another one I really, really like is Spybot, Search and Destroy. But they've just redone it. Version 2, it's a little scary. I'd say if you can get the older version, 1.6, it's wonderful.
So you can just Google Spybot And then that'll
Search
come.
and destroy, except no substitutes.
Okay.
There's a lot of
Search and
pretenders.
destroy in Google or a
Yeah.
search engine, and then their website will pop up, and then you can download it.
Right. Another really wonderful service is called Web of Trust. If you go to Google and put in Web of Trust, it will take you to, I believe it's MyWatt, W-O-T, Web of Trust, mywatt.com. And it is a service, it's free, runs in the background, that when you Google something, it has a list of good and bad websites. And it's like a traffic light. Green is good, yellow is, I don't know about that, and red is like, oh, you don't want to go there.
And doesn't it say like warning?
And if you click on it,
Yeah.
or if you get an email with a link and you click on it, and it's a known bad site, big red box pops up and says, warning, we don't recommend this site. You can override it if you know. It may have gotten a bad rating because people just, it's a competition thing. But typically, it's a bad site.
Well, at least you can be aware and go look at it.
Yeah, and I use that all the time. I'll Google things and have 20 choices and 2 of them are red. Okay, I'm going to avoid that one.
Now, when you have a computer, is it a good idea, and I don't do this, I have to admit, but to back up your files, like you just get a CD, or somebody could actually give you the laptop every 3 to 6 months, and you can.
There's a bunch of different ways. These days, the little USB thumb drives, flash drives, are so simple. You just put it in a USB port and just click and drag the files you need. Typically, on a Windows computer, everything is stored under My Documents. You can just click it. You can buy some of the little flash drives that have a backup software on there. There's also all kinds of cloud backups. Because let's say you make all the backups you need, whether it be on a CD, DVD, flash drive, and it's sitting right next to your computer, and your house burns down,
Right.
it won't do you any good. You want to have a backup, what they call off-site. Even a thumb drive in your glove compartment is better than nothing. But if you have an office, if you have a home and an office, take the office backups home, take the home backups to the office, or use the cloud. Now the cloud, again, you have that issue of perhaps getting hacked into. You've got to come up with good security.
So it's almost getting stored in cyberspace somewhere else.
It's someone else's computer.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. There's really no cloud. It's just, it goes through the Ethernet
Right.
to get there.
Well, that's good, because
Yeah.
I've lost computers, and all my photos I had in there downloaded. So do you ever get computers and there's really nothing you can do? They're just, you can't fix them and retrieve everything? And does that happen very often? They get a
no.
really bad virus?
No. It doesn't happen very often. Typically, I can save the data.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah. I had a fun one last week where it wasn't a virus, it was a hard disk crash. And he didn't have backups. He thought he did.
Oh.
He does now. And the hard disk, if you think of an old-fashioned record player with a needle, the needle was in the wrong place, and it wouldn't read, and it wouldn't read. I couldn't access the hard drive. There's a trick, and you don't want to do this at home, but you put it in the freezer. You put the hard drive in the freezer, wait an hour, and the metal contracts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd heard about this, but I'd never done it. And I did it Christmas Day, actually, for a good client. I had nothing to do on Christmas. And 1 hour didn't work. I left it in overnight, got the data.
Wow.
You only have 20 minutes to 2 hours to get it off before the hard drive warms up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So if you're novice, don't do that.
Right,
Because you
right.
could really lose everything.
Yeah.
So also, should you clean up your computer like once a year? Give it to you, because are you supposed to clean up I've heard the cookies and all the other stuff? It's almost.
Some cookies are good. The first time I heard about deleting cookies, I went, oh great, and I deleted them all. And then I went into a website where I had been there before, and all my data was gone. And I said, oh, I like my cookies.
So is it a good idea to clean it up, or as long as you have that antivirus software, you're okay, or?
The Spybot and the malware bytes will help clean up cookies, and I think Windows 7 and 8 are much better at cleaning up cookies. And those two operating systems are also very good about defragging. Another term. If you had a bookcase with a whole bunch of books all over that were nice and orderly, but every time you took a book off the shelf, you just put it back randomly, after a while it's confusing. So it's nice to have this defrag program, which will tidy everything up, put it all in sequence for you.
Good. So it might be a good idea, just if you got a computer and it's running really slow and you don't know what to do, just call you and do a little maintenance and get everything cleaned up. Every
I can even do stuff over the phone.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you have a lot of patience, but usually I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. I just want to give you the computer and pay for it.
Right.
Yeah, because that doesn't work with me. I'm not very technical minded, so. Well, great. Well, how would someone get in touch with you if they'd like to have you, just have some questions or would like to?
Well, I have a website.
consulting?
I made it very easy, computerkate.com.
Very easy.
Computer with a C. I'm not too catchy with a K. Computerkate.com.
And you're in the Hawaii Wellness Directory.
I'm in the Hawaii Wellness Directory. Kate The Computer Tutor.
So small businesses that, are into health and wellness and use their computer all the time.
Yeah, for those of you right-brain creative people.
Yes, like me. It's like, here, just take it.
Give me 2 hours and I can simplify your life.
Great. Well, wonderful. And you also come on site if it's just.
I come on site. My motto is, my byline is personalized instruction at your home or office. Typically, I come to you because it's easier to learn on your own computer.
Right.
If you have questions and come to my house and look at my computer, I come to you.
And I think I had a meltdown because I use Word all the time. And then before the computers actually came with Word, now they give you that little 2 or 3 month trial and you have to install it yourself.
Actually, there's also another one that comes with ads called Office Starter or something like that.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Because you hate to go pay the $200 or $300 for things that you don't really need.
Right.
So, and a lot of times you kind of get lost in their website because you go in there for that free antivirus or free download, and then they're trying to sell you something else, and so you don't know the differences.
Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about was downloading stuff. If you are interested in downloading something, be smart, run a check on it first. Do a background check. Go to Google and put in whatever that thing is you want and the word review after it. And if it's spam or going to scam you, it'll come up. It'll list.
So you just do a space. You do the website or whatever, or the
not a website, but a product.
Like an image or something?
I had a lady call me up. She got a virus. She didn't know how. Turned out she liked to play Mahjong. And there were 2 versions of Mahjong. One with no commercials, one with commercials. Mm-hmm. And she bought the one, downloaded the one with the commercials, not realizing. And so one popped up and said, disk cleaner, speed up your computer, $29.95. She went, oh, that sounds good. Clicked on that, boom, she was infected.
So you have to be really careful.
And I just said to her, don't download stuff. And I thought, wait, I can't tell people that. People are going to be, they need stuff. I download stuff all the time.
Right.
But I forget what the name of that thing was, nifty disk cleaner. Put that in, and then the word, a space, and then review.
Oh, good advice.
And if it's a scam...
Right, and you don't want to waste your money either.
No.
Sometimes they're like, buy this, and it'll make things go faster, so you don't know if that's really
And nobody from
necessary.
Microsoft will ever call you and say your computer's running slow.
Yeah, you can add your credit card and let's buy something over the line. So I guess you got to use a little bit of intelligence as
right.
well. So, well, great. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing
Thank
these
you,
great
Larry.
tips and helping
Thank you,
everybody
everyone.
and getting everybody get in touch with her if you have computer problems. So thanks
Send
for
me
joining
an email.
us.
Go to computerkate.com. I've got all kinds of answers.
And you'll keep us going and help us make money with our small businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. You've been a lifesaver in my life. Bye, everybody.
Aloha.